Good evening. It's Thursday, June 17, 2021 here in Cebu City. I'm Cherry Ann Lim and this is SunStar Tonight. A group of doctors in Cebu has expressed full support for the national IATF policy on arriving international passengers. Meanwhile, several seafarer groups have requested the IATF to adopt the swab test upon arrival policy implemented in Cebu. Chari Coronel reports.
A group of medical doctors in Cebu who requested anonymity expressed their full support on the protocols implemented by the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases for arriving international passengers. In a manifesto, the group stated that they stand in solidarity with the medical experts of the Technical Working Group advising the national IATF. The group also said that experts in the medical field should be given the final say on what arrival protocols to implement. They described the healthcare system in the country as extremely fragile. The group also pointed out that with the arrival protocols instituted by Cebu Province, even OFWs and returning Filipinos who reside in Luzon took advantage of it by entering the country through the Mactan Cebu International Airport. Meanwhile, several seafarer groups have expressed support to the swab-upon-arrival policy implemented in Cebu on OFWs and ROFs. Seafarers are among those affected of the international arrival protocols in the country. They pointed out that Cebu's swab policy is more practical and responsive to the needs of the times. The Integrated Seafarers of the Philippines, Mariners and Allied Transport Employees Union, Society of Naval Architects and Marine Engineers, and ANCLA party list formally requested the IATF to adopt the swab-upon-arrival policy. Cebu is still implementing Governor Gwendolyn Garcia's Executive Order No. 17 and amended Provincial Ordinance 2021-04. OFWs and ROFs arriving at the MCIA will be swabbed upon arrival. They will be quarantined for 2 to 3 days. Those who test negative are released from quarantine and allowed to proceed to their local government units of destination, where they will continue the remaining quarantine period. They will be swabbed again on the 7th day, while the IATF Resolution 114 international arrivals must go into facility-based quarantine for 10 days and undergo RT-PCR test on the 7th day. Even with a negative test, they must complete the 10 days in a facility and spend the remaining 4 days under home quarantine. The technical advisors of the IATF had been explaining that the IATF policy is based on solid science. Earlier, President Rodrigo Duterte ordered that the IATF policy be implemented nationwide. Chari Coronel, SunStar Tonight.
The Department of the Interior and Local Government is now investigating 3 more barangay captains in the country over alleged superspreader events amid the COVID-19 pandemic. One of these captains is Franklin Ong of Barangay Kasambagan in Cebu City. Kenneth Torres reports.
3 more barangay chairmen are now being investigated over alleged superspreader events in their areas of jurisdiction. Department of the Interior and Local Government Secretary Eduardo Anyo identified these barangay captains as Ireneo Cabahog of Barangay Matabungkay, Lian, Batangas, Bobby Daquiawag of Barangay San Mariano, Santa Marcela, Apayao, and Franklin Ong of Barangay Kasambagan in Cebu City. Anyo said Ong is being investigated over 2 separate violations of physical distancing protocols in 2 cafes in Barangay Kasambagan. He added the 3 officials could face charges of gross neglect of duty, negligence, serious misconduct, and violation of Republic Act No. 11332, or the Mandatory Reporting of Notifiable Diseases and Health Events of Public Health Concern Act. Earlier, 9 barangay officials, including Barangay Kamputhaw Captain Jessica Kadungog, were charged over superspreader events. Kenneth Torres, SunStar Tonight.
The Interagency Task Force has recommended to President Rodrigo Duterte to maintain the mandatory wearing of face shields in enclosed spaces and public transport. This after the president said face shields should be worn only in hospitals. Chari Coronel reports.
The use of face shield aside from face masks in most public places, especially in closed spaces, remains in effect. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque Jr. said that they are still waiting for the decision of President Rodrigo Duterte on the recommendation of the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases. The IATF resolved during its meeting this afternoon to recommend the continued use of face shields in enclosed or indoor spaces such as hospitals, schools, workplaces, commercial establishments, public transport and terminals, among others. This came few hours after Roque confirmed that Duterte said that face shields should be worn only in hospitals. Exempted from wearing face shields are those engaged in strenuous activities or work, operation of transportation vehicles, and active transport. Health officials have cited studies showing that face shields provide an additional layer of protection against infectious disease. The wearing of face shield and face mask is among the minimum health standard imposed by the government as precautionary measures against COVID-19. Chari Coronel, SunStar Tonight.
Cebuana volleyball star Sisi Rondina and the rest of the beach volleyball team begin their hunt for a slot in the 2021 Tokyo Olympics. Kenneth Torres reports.
Cebuano volleyball star Sisi Rondina and the rest of the Philippine beach volleyball team begin their bid to berths in the 2021 Tokyo Olympics as they compete in the Asian Volleyball Confederation Continental Cup tomorrow in Thailand. Bannered by Rondina and Bernadette Pons, the women's team is expected to have a tough time against the likes of powerhouse Japan and New Zealand. Rondina said she will be treating every match like a championship game. The Cebuano volleyball star is the most experienced and decorated player on the team, having competed in the Rio 2024 qualifiers. The Philippines qualified for the Continental Cup semifinals by virtue of the bronze medal finishes in both men's and women's division in the 2019 SEA Games. Only the number one teams in both genders will advance to the Tokyo Olympics. The finals are set on June 24. Kenneth Torres.
To get the latest, visit www.sunstar.com.ph. Follow us on our YouTube channel and official social media accounts on Twitter and Facebook. I'm Cherry Ann Lim. Thanks for watching SunStar Tonight. See you again tomorrow. Good night.